Two of the greatest tragedies of World War II forced the Allies to think long and hard about the strategy for D-Day and Operation Overlord. Slapton Sands taught the Allies that this war could not be conducted by generals miles behind the front line. Rehearsals proved to Admiral Ramsay that the armada of ships would need close and continuous control from commanders on the ground, so to speak. The other tragedy was Dieppe. The 1942 Dieppe raid was a costly failure that provided critical lessons for the success of the D-Day landings. These included the need for heavy preliminary naval and air bombardment, the need for specialized armored vehicles, and the realization that attacking a strongly defended port directly was not viable. The enemy relied on the Allied armies using ports to land their troops. As a result, the Allies decided to use landing craft instead to deliver soldiers to the far shore and constructed floating harbors to avoid the enemy defenses. But landing craft need embarkation hards, specially constructed concrete slope or slipways designed to facilitate the rapid loading of heavy military vehicles and troops. Their primary significance lies in their role during Operation Overlord, as they provided the vital infrastructure needed to move thousands of tanks, trucks, and men to Normandy. Construction of these hards was a major engineering effort shared between the Admiralty and the War Office. The iconic feature was the use of flexible concrete blocks known as chocolate blocks, due to their grid-like appearance. These were precast on the beach or prefabricated and linked with steel rods to create a stable surface in the intertidal zone that wouldn't sink under the weight of a tank. Above the high water mark, a solid concrete apron or hard standing area was built to allow vehicles to queue and maneuver before driving onto the landing craft ramp. In the film, Sherman tanks are seen loaded at Embarkation Hard S1 in Mayflower Park with the storm water pumping station, still in use, in the background. What may surprise some to see is large earth-moving vehicles loaded before troops or tanks. But this machinery is essential to build the advanced landing grounds for aircraft if air superiority is to be maintained to protect ground forces. S1 was close to berth 101 with deep water, allowing landing ship tanks to use the quay wall as a handrail to berth safely. The unique feature is that the U.S. Army modified these craft by adding rails to the landing ship tank so that wagons could be loaded. It is estimated that 90% of the replenished rolling stock for the French rail system was shipped through Southampton. The importance of the rail link can be seen from the number of spur lines leading to the Embarkation Hard in the aerial photograph. Embarkation Hard S2 was located outside the medieval wool house next to the now derelict Royal Pier. Once again, these berths were in constant use for both landing ship tanks and landing tank craft, built as part of a network of 68 hards along the south coast. There is Imperial War Museum film of an American skipper with a view of St. Michael's Church spire from the bridge of his landing ship tank, using the berth to transport supplies to Normandy shortly after D-Day. There is also contemporary color film from the socialite Rosie Newman which shows the Embarkation Hard still in constant use in December. Embarkation Hard S3 was outside the platform tavern on Town Quay, although an office block now occupies the site. This is where General Leclerc's Free French Army embarked to free their homeland. With traffic forced to queue for the landing ship tanks, vehicles can be seen parked in Platform Road, the site of a former gun platform that was originally constructed for cannon to defend against French attack. There is also film of the first casualties of D-Day returning aboard a landing ship tank with a tugboat using the dolphins to guide the landing ship tank safely home. These are the wooden structures used to guide landing craft ashore. Probably called dolphins because they are perceived as the mariner's friend. The casualties are taken by truck to the terminus railway station, where they will be transported to the regional hospital, possibly the Royal Victoria Hospital at Netley. The last of the embarkation hards to be built was S4, outside the present-day St. Mary's Soccer Stadium, roughly where the gasometers appear in the aerial photo. Today it is the site of a gravel extraction site dredging Southampton water to keep it free for navigation. However, it is still possible to get to the water's edge where the landing craft tanks embarked on D-Day. Most hards could accommodate both landing ship tanks and landing craft tanks, but limited space means that this berth can only handle the smaller landing craft tank, but like the other berths in Southampton had the unique advantage of tidal independence because the double high tide meant craft could berth at any time of the day. This was an invaluable advantage to the Allies on D-Day. Film for this embarkation berth is unusual because there is film of both British and American troops embarking separately from the site on the same day. Because of the day delay caused by the weather, given the opportunity, American troops wanted to enter combat as soon as possible if the berth was vacant. This confounds the assumption that the Americans did not use Southampton on D-Day. Furthermore, film shows the American General Omar Bradley. Once in France, he will take command of the American Army. Royal Navy officers can be seen casting off from the jetty on the River Itchen, and the men turn to the camera and remove their helmets. These GIs are probably on the way to bloody Omaha. British troops are also seen embarking from Hard, S4, heading for Gold Beach. In his report, Admiral Ramsey says, because, in the event, the movements of over 5,000 ships and craft proceeded smoothly, and to plan, and because, despite bad weather, the Allied armies and air forces were landed and reinforced, if not quite as quickly as the optimum planning figure, at least more quickly than the enemy reinforced his forces by land, it may now appear that the size and complexity of the naval problem was somewhat exaggerated. This was not the case. That the operation proceeded smoothly and according to plan was the result of the hard work and foresight of the many thousands concerned in its preparation, and of the determination and courage of the tens of thousands in the Allied navies and merchant fleets who carried out their orders in accordance with the very highest traditions of the sea.